A quick Google introduces our next guest in a big way. In 2023, conductor and architect Ofentse Pitse led a 74-strong Women of Color orchestra to accompany Alicia Keys in a recording for Shonda Rhimes' Bridgerton story Queen Charlotte. Talent aside, Pitse's selection can be attributed as a recognition of her work as founder of Anchored Sound, the first ever fully Black-owned and operated orchestra on the African continent, whose performers all hail from disenfranchised communities across Gauteng. It was my pleasure in 2022 to secure an interview with this multi-talented maestro, and it is my privilege to share that conversation with you today. Born in Pretoria, with a family that was active in the Salvation Army, Ofentse was soon attracted to its famous brass band, where she first learned to play the English horn, trumpet, flugelhorn, and cornet. As her skill improved, so did her musical tastes, expanding to include gospel music, classical, and jazz. Today, Ofentse splits her time between her work as an architect, where she is pursuing her artistic vision for African spaces, and her central role at Anchored Sound. The latter now boasts an impressive 40-piece orchestra alongside a 25-person strong choir. She attributes taking up space on the podium to the mentorship of two of the country's leading conductors, Tami Zungu and Gerben Grooten. Across South Africa, Pitse has earned a formidable reputation as the force behind the success of Anchored Sound. Her discipline and commitment in learning how to conduct an orchestra while also managing the day-to-day running of the organization has won her admirers across Mzansi and led to interviews with leading media outlets including Radio 702, ENCA, Drum Magazine, Newsroom Africa, City Press, and the SABC. Citing her uncle Dr. Danny Boy Pitse, the first person in her family to become a doctor, as her personal hero, Ofentse says it was his determination to succeed that became the catalyst for her own ambitions. Going forward, it is these ambitions that are at the forefront of her mind, especially her long-term cherished dream of performing the isiZulu original Ushaka Ka Zengakakaona written by Professor Mzilikazi Kumalo at the legendary Sydney Opera House in Australia.
So the thing that could help curb that, I guess for me, I just ensure that I show up at the highest level in the spaces that I need to show up at. And when you show up at the highest level, then you don't have to fear what the other person thinks of you or how they feel or whatever. So that really just has been my value proposition, where I just ensure that I cover my bases in terms of my preparation and how ready I am for the work that I have to do or whatever. So because of that, I don't question how well I show up, because to that fact, you cannot determine how other people feel about you or think about you. You can only show up in the best way that you can, and then allow that to be that. So yeah. I mean, fighting for airspace, I feel like I've been running for so long that it's even become a default setting to just be high paced the whole time. The difficulty in this industry is that you don't want to drop the ball, and you also understand that, especially with how I'm placed and where I'm at, I'm influencing an entire generation. I'm influencing an entire culture, so it becomes more about something that's bigger than me than it is about myself. So because of that, I cannot relax. And the 3 career highlights would definitely be the events that I had this year, which were the first of their kind, which is the number one I was the main speaker, and I also did a surprise flash mob performance with an ensemble from my orchestra at the Vev Clicquot Bold Women Awards in July. That was number one. Number two, I had a concert with Sun L musician, who is a very amazing, phenomenal electro house DJ, right? And that was also me breaking into pop culture as a conductor, which is something that has not been done. So it really challenged me a bit, and I had to adapt to the space. And number 3 was breaking into corporate, corporate Africa, really, with the event that I had with Bedvest. And at that same event, John Legend actually performed after my set. So that was really just, those were highlights that showed me how far I've come, and also there were just vision casters to where I'll be heading also in terms of my career. So yeah, that those are the things that were top highlights for me in my career, and they all happened 1 year. How I avoid burnout, I take a lot of time when I'm not in the throes of everything, a lot of time to spend by myself, and then just switch off, unplug, and just be one with myself. And at times I'll even log off of my social media and not be close to my phone and rest. So that's what I try to do. When I don't do it myself, my team sort of like prompts me or reminds me that, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that. So I'm always kept in check because of the people around me, and thank God for the people around me who really care about my well-being in that capacity. So my team always makes sure that I don't go over, they know my threshold. I don't go over that. Most of the time I don't have enough time to just pat myself on the back. I pat myself on the back while going to the next thing. I think it's only really now in December, the end of the year, that I'm just like, well done for what you did in July, in August, and in September. So yeah, there's normally not enough time to do it at that time. Where to next? There's some bodies of work, some bodies of work, some products, and things that we want to roll out for next year. Some really exciting collaborative work with some of my biggest the people that I look up to, not just in the music space but in the creative space. So that is what will be happening for next year. A couple of things that I have planned for next year, couple of collaborations that I'm not really privy to sharing right now, but most of what happens in my career has been organic. So I'm also quite what is this? I like the how not in control I am, because then I let the universe do what it has to do. But over and above that, it's definitely going to be some phenomenal collaborations that are happening next. Yo, the world as a color. Right now I would say black, because there's the war in Ukraine, there is this political unrest in South Africa happening. I was gonna say yellow, because yellow is a soft feeling, but the world has not been giving me yellow recently. I would love for it to be yellow, but shucks, the world has been black for quite a number of weeks right now, and I cannot. It's hard to shake off that feeling. But if it were in my ideal world, it would be yellow. It would be soft, evergreen. Soft, ever so lush, and hopeful. It will just be like the sun. Ooh, at my funeral, I would want, it's there's Minuet from Berenice. No, not, I wouldn't do Minuet, but I wouldn't even do Lacrimosa as well, Mozart. I think I would do Mendelssohn. Yeah, I think I'll do Mendelssohn, like probably Cast Thy Burdens upon the Lord, as well as, yeah, I think Cast Thy Burdens actually Mendelssohn. Yeah, definitely. I don't think there's enough visibility when it comes to women, and I think to the fact of how robust this industry is, and also very unwelcoming, rather, that's the word, unwelcoming it is. We don't see enough women in these spaces, because when I look around, I'm like, shucks, do I even have peers? And I'm like, shucks, I don't really think so, because really this is a hard space, and to be in this space you have to just be made of blood and stone, because it really is that tough. So in order to curb that, I think teaching or opening up the educational talk really about music early on can be one that could prompt other young females to get into it, in the same way as you teach kids how to play the piano, the violin, or whatever. If we get into conducting as well, because conducting is really about leadership also, I think we would somehow win the battle. But to just hope that there's going to be another Ofentse Pitse is really just cutting it very, very thin. In that we need to be more proactive in the education and in the showcasing of more people such as myself. Oof, I mean, number 9, if I wasn't well versed with the metaverse that is being created and the possibilities that are being created with I would definitely say that the live theatrical element of shows cannot be replaced, right? And definitely I still believe that you cannot take away from the aesthetic of being in a space and a time, feeling the energy and seeing the artists themselves perform, in that space. But I am also very cognizant of the fact that technology is advancing. I mean, we can see even with our phones and how they adapt and respond, that we're not using a 3310 anymore. We are now using, the latest iOS and whatever. So I'm definitely of the idea, or the reality rather, that there's going to be a time where there are less people in the theater spaces and more people buying tickets to watch in the comfort of their own home, given whatever technology it is, because we also have your hologram type of technology that allows you to actually experience the artist in 3D and all those things. So I would say I still am very a paperback type of person, a very entertainment in the space type of person, or music in the space, but also being very aware that times are changing, and I embrace that as well. I'm like, bring it on. Integration of both worlds could actually be something really quite interesting to explore, right? Because also with conductors now, we are seeing that the need to innovate has become ever so important, and we are seeing how the classic setup of an orchestra does not work anymore, or even the music that orchestras used to play, where it's like, okay, but can you play an urban, a K-pop, a lo-fi song, an indie song, right? Can you play a Chance the Rapper? Can you play what is this, a Mariah Carey? So it's, can you play a Katy Perry? Can you play an Ariana Grande? So it's really about innovation and innovating as a person, something that we cannot hide from or act as though it's not happening. So yeah, thank you so much.